So we are awaiting for quite some people, I suppose, right?
Yes.
At this early hour.
Yeah, I'm very happy to be 1 hour ahead, so it's a little less early.
Oh, I get some messages from people who request acceptance. But I suppose that Sue or somebody else is going to click on that, right?
I don't think we can because we have different rights than you do.
Oh, but normally the organizer has the right to accept.
Oh, okay. So Shell, do you see that?
I see all kinds of requests. Wait a second.
You see it. Yeah, just click it.
Yeah.
Isabel, I wanted to ask a quick question. Is who's asking questions together with other 2 assessors? Yeah? Okay.
Oh. That is strange. I just clicked on acceptance for all, but now I still get requests. Am I the only one who is getting requests from students?
No, I get him too.
Oh, maybe only teachers have the access to approve.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. So then perhaps somebody else is clicking because it pops up and then disappears again.
Or people are changing their minds.
I've accepted a few.
Okay, great. Then I will stop clicking because otherwise I will be kicked out all the time.
But I think on the settings, I just changed something that said who can bypass the lobby, and I put everyone. So I hope they can just know.
I did the same, Sue.
I will keep an eye on it and then accept if someone is not entering. So.
Okay.
Okay, I guess from the assessors, we are still waiting for Goes and Marie.
I'll send Goose a text message.
Thank you.
Okay. He wants to know where he finds the link. But he received the email, didn't he, Sushel?
I hope so, yes. I did put him in also. I'll send it again.
Okay, thanks.
What was his last name? We can also invite him again. Request to join.
Angles over, but well, he's not on the list because he's an external guest.
I just sent it in again, so maybe you should check again if you get something.
Okay. Did you send it to Studio Guste?
Yes.
.com. Okay, perfect.
is somebody also calling in colleagues that we are still waiting for, like Marie and Tony and Romy and Nina?
Nina said that she might not be able to attend, so if she's not here, then she won't be attending. It is going to be recorded. And I'm sure that that applies to the others as well.
Isabel, I just sent you a link that you could also share if you have a different messenger.
Share where?
To Goose on.
Oh, okay. Right. Oh yeah, well,
Yeah.
if you'll be here.
Marie is.
Yeah.
Okay, and if Marie is not here for the first one, Gsell, it's okay, but Marie is the assessor of Thomas.
Yeah.
So should we start without her at the moment? Or wait a little bit? We can still wait 2 more minutes.
Okay.
I mean, if she's not, if she's not assessing Gsell, then it's fine. I mean, she needs to be here for Thomas, but even if she can't make it, I mean, she'll be able to watch the recording. But well, the thing is, she won't be able to ask questions.
Yeah, that's the thing. I can. I will mute and I can call Marie. Okay.
Yeah, right. Thank you. Also, Yule raised her hand. Do you have something to ask, or was that a mistake?
No, am I right that Elena is not present?
That could be true.
I don't see her in the list.
We'll give her a call. We're gonna give Elena a call.
Marie will click in and it has in her agenda 9:30. Okay. So she will be here within a minute.
Okay.
Yes. All right.
But we can start, she said.
Yeah, we'll also take care of having Elena here in a little bit, or at least for sure for her presentation. So yes, let's start. I will be your moderator for the first part. After the break, Gsell will take this role from me, but at the moment she has other important things to think about because Gsell will be our first presenter today. So again, welcome everyone to the graduation presentation of the third year August graduates. I think we are all super happy to be here because, yeah, it has been a lot of work, a lot of ups and downs, as every project in iArts usually is. And yes, so let's not keep us and you waiting, and Gsell, take the stage.
Thank you, Mara. So I'll share my screen.
Also, a little note to everyone, please keep your microphones muted. After the 10-minute presentation, there will be 10 minutes for questions and answers. The assessors are the first ones who get to ask the questions, and if there's more time left, then you can also raise your hand and speak up.
Okay, so I hope everyone can see my screen now. Yes? Okay. So, hello everyone. My name is Sparen, for the ones that don't know me yet. My project was actually about human politics and about the interaction and connection between humans and how we engage with each other. I started this process actually looking for what is my thing, what do I like to do, what do I want to do, and what points of interest do I have. And most of it came back to actually my country, my own country, but also about how we as humans interact with each other. And through this research, writing the position paper, I realized that politics is something that I wanted to talk about a lot, but also because politics is one of the major interactions between humans. Politics was made by humans, politics was built by humans, so this way of engaging with each other was one of the things that I really wanted to research. But there were so many topics within politics itself that I started to dwindle, like, how do I do this? How do I approach this topic? So then I started questioning, making some questions for myself. How can I, as a former citizen, make a difference in Curacao, in my own home country? But also, how is my political disengagement part of a social structure, or is it my own personal choice? So then, as you can see on the screen right now, I made a lot of different experiments. I started graffitiing on my own wall in my house to see how that goes, but I also started painting important buildings from Curacao. Next to that, I researched a lot. I researched a lot about how the political situation is in Curacao, how everything is mixed, how many things are within the politics itself in Curacao. Then I had the opportunity to actually go to Curacao and do some more field research. So I went there for 2 months and I did some artistic field research, I call it, because I took a lot of pictures of actually what is Curacao, how do we humans in Curacao also approach things. But then in Curacao itself, there was the pre-elections and the elections happening at that time, which I was lucky to be able to witness. And I saw so many things happening, so many, if I can say, negative things happening, that is just made me really overwhelmed over what politics actually means in Curacao. So I started digging deeper. How did this start? How did things happen? How did politics actually develop in Curacao? And through this the artistic way is actually the photography, I started seeing, okay, how many different things are there? So I started noticing the abandonment of things. One building that you can see here on the right bottom is one of the most or the National Theater building in Curacao. So there I realized, oh, okay, so culture and art is not really seen as something useful in Curacao, because this building was actually burned down because they didn't, in the political sphere, they didn't want to have this building there. There were a lot of controversial things happening, a lot of controversial situations happening that the myth is, I'm not saying that it's totally true, but the myth is that they burned this building down so that no one can use it. And then there was the elections, and with the elections, I could see a lot of marketing happening. Marketing that you would usually see for products or for other things, they were doing in politics. They were giving things around, promising people things that we all knew were not going to happen. So those ways that they actually did things in Curacao made me totally overwhelmed, because in a way I saw it as a burning pit. As you can see the picture, all my documentation and everything that I pictured, I saw how it reflected on how politics is in Curacao. Everything was just coming down to the ground. Nothing was actually happening. Then I started asking myself, how can I actually make this visible? How can I actually use this opportunity to actually make people see what is happening? And then when I came back to the Netherlands, and to be honest, I was really down. I was, as I said before, overwhelmed, depressed. I didn't know how to approach this topic. And also I had to fight with my own, if I might say, with my own demons, that I didn't have the courage to actually talk with people about politics, because in a way it made me scared. It made me scared that what are they gonna say? What reactions am I gonna get from people? So then I started thinking, how can I do this? How can I do it? It took me a lot of time, but then I figured out, okay, let's just try and translate these opinions and these the way people think into something material, so that we can actually see it, feel it, and be more engaged with it. Because one of the topics of one of the parts of my question was this engagement. So how can I make people engage with this topic? And for me personally, it was more when I see something materialized, then I know, okay, this is what I'm seeing, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I listen. So I made it a much more material subject that that people could actually see it and experience it. And then there was the human politics exhibition itself. When I finished making the molds and finished having these conversations with the people, I thought, okay, how am I going to show this? Should I show it through social media? Should I show it in Curacao? Where should I show it? But then researching and doing a lot of research about how I can present this, it was a bit of a difficult situation with Corona, because of course when I went, it wasn't really legal to go, because of course it wasn't important. It was for my research, but for people in politics, going to do research for arts is maybe not a big thing. So I thought, okay, how can I do this and make people in Curacao reflect on it? And I thought at first I'll go back to Curacao and take all the molds with me and all the edited videos with me, and I'm gonna make an exhibition there. But then it became a lot more harder when I realized how much these molds weighed, and how much it would cost me to actually transport them all the way there, because I was thinking of transporting it with post NL, with just by post. So then I thought, okay, let's just make it a bit more smaller, so that I can actually make a statement with it, and then I also can make the first pilot, the first try out to see how this actually work. So then I choose a place here in Maastricht, and not conveniently, because I did research it like that, but I found a place that's owned by Sam Ateliers, and the place was actually a former place of the municipality. So the municipality used to work there, and the lady that works from Sam Atelier told me the history about the place, and I thought, this is the perfect place for me. I'm talking about politics. I want to make a statement about politics, and I want to make a statement about leaving the past and going into the future. So then this building was the perfect place, because with the moldings, I also had I had the idea of it that is going to be stones. The molds are stones, and then on the molds I put resin art. And resin art is an upcoming way of doing art. So I thought I'll mix the two of these together and make the old and the new present. So then with this exhibition and the room itself, it was also this translation of new and old and new together. So then I did this exhibition, and everything went much better than I actually planned, because a lot of people that I interviewed, but a lot also people that helped me through the process, were telling me, okay, so this is what you actually were doing, because I'm really bad at explaining sometimes. So they thought, now I understand what your point is. Now I understand what you want to bring across. And the room itself just talked for itself. So I didn't have to actually be there to talk. So that was actually a big part that made me say, okay, so I do have this. Sometimes I don't know how to present the things, or not present, but say the things. But I do have this confidence in me that I can actually translate it in a much more material way instead of abstract. So now what it holds for the future is I found Stichting Ayera Awe Imayang, and that's a stichting from Curacao. It translates yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And with them, I will be working in October to actually present my work in the Black History Month in The Hague. So I'll have either a documentation of it, or live. It's still a question because of Corona times. But this presenting together with Sampunt Live, I'll be presenting my work in October. And with Werkhuis, I'll also be working further on developing this project much more deeper and much more solid. So yes, and in the end, I hope to actually have this exhibition presented in Curacao, because of course this is my ultimate goal. So I want to present this as much as I can with as much modes as I can, that I can actually make a door out of it, to actually present this and make it a way that for Curacao to actually go from the past to the future. This was my presentation, and I am glad that you all were listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Gsell. It was a very nice presentation. And again, congratulations with finishing your project that you've been working on for so long. Okay, for Gsell, the assessors are Nina, Isabel, and Goes. So if you would have questions first, please go ahead. Yeah, Isabel.
I have a question. First of all, I want to say that Goes has been contacting me and is not able to join. I have no idea whether it's a technical issue. You're here.
I managed to get in. So I rebooted my computer, so I'm here.
Great, great. Okay.
Thanks for your patience.
Okay, good to see you, Goes. You can then watch Gsell's presentation.
Yes.
So, Gsell, thank you very much for this very interesting presentation. I watched your CP online. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to watch it live. I went through your documentation, and I have two questions to start with. At a certain point during your presentation, you say that you wanted to make a statement, and that statement was live in the past. So to leave the past and go into the future. And my question is, can you shortly describe what that past was, and what is this future that you envisage with this project, and how can your project just link these two moments in time?
Okay, I think yes. Okay, it's a bit hard a topic to talk actually here, but I'll try. The past for me is actually the colonial past that we have in Curacao, because Curacao is still part of the Netherlands, but we are not in those old colonial ways. So we are still a developing country, but in Curacao, I figured this out, or a lot of people made this clear to me, that a lot of people are still into this colonial way of thinking. So everything has to be done by the Netherlands, because this and because that. And in a way, the future for me should be that we all actually chip in and work together to actually make our own country strong. So not having actually all the time saying, we're in trouble, Netherlands, come help us. No, we're in trouble, let's try and find a solution. That's the future for me. So through my project, my project is the link, because even though I'm making the molds all are made with the participants that I have. The participants were people from Curacao, but most of them are living here in Netherlands and have a different perspective of politics. So together with them, I made these molds. Their designs are on the molds, and the molds I made. So this link is for me a perfect link. Why? Because then I'm triggering people to work together. Let's work together, even though we're not in the same space. Let's just work together.
Okay, thank you very much, because this leads me to my second question, and it has to do with the interviews. So I watched all the interviews, and to me they were very insightful, because they were about, people your age, who live abroad, come from Curacao. And you refer to your project as let's call it linking pin, where you bring people together to work on this future. But something that I heard in some of the interviews was that people, they said, well, I hardly watch, I follow the news, they recalled moments from the past, but many of them didn't see themselves as being activists or playing an active role in politics. So my question is, who exactly is the target group of your project?
It's actually, okay, it's actually these people, because a lot of people in Curacao have this kind of, that's for me is kind of a thing that happened with colonialism, that no one wants to do anything. They all think they'll someone else will figure out for me. But in that way, I'm thinking we're leaving our own country a lot behind, because if we don't chip in ourselves, then who's gonna chip in? Who's gonna make it better for a country they don't actually are from? So that's where and it was also confronting for myself, because I myself always say I'm not gonna do anything. Why do I have to do it? I'm living in the Netherlands. I'm already good, you know? But with this project, I realized if I keep thinking like that, my country will at some point be totally bad or totally gone, or I don't know what would happen. So then where would I say is my home? Where would I say I come from? So this made me choose these people, because in a way they are the same way as me. And in my opinion, if we all in Curacao just think like that, then we're not going anywhere.
And my last very short question, did you notice a difference in engagement from the participants, throughout this project, from their initial position?
Yes, there were one or two that were actually much more engaged with politics in Curacao. And from them, there was not much change, because I already saw they were already doing things for Curacao. But from 5 or 4, I would say, when they saw this project, they said to me, okay, now I understand where you want to go with this. Now I understand what your point is. And they started saying, I'm now thinking, actually, what are the consequences of me not caring about my own country? So I at least put them to think, yes.
Thank you, Gsell.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sue, for your answers, and Isabel for the question. Who's would you like to ask something?
Well, at this point, seeing that I only saw half your presentation, Gsell, I'm very sorry for dropping in that late. No questions at this point, but thank you.
Yes,
thank you. So there are 3 more minutes left for extra questions. If anyone is interested in hearing more about some details, please raise your hand. Isabel, do you have another one?
Maybe, unless other people have questions, then of course I have more questions.
Okay, then go ahead.
Yeah, well, you said right at the beginning, through this project, so you mentioned about the initial questions that you had that were, that actually fueled this project. And my question is, through this project, were you able to answer most of the questions that you had initially? I mean, what did this project, what did it bring to you personally? Because you said that it was not only about participants and about your target group, but it was also a personal journey in the sense, what is my engagement? This initial question that you had, is it a result of a social construct or of an, inherent desire to improve your country at large?
It was actually, I got the question, but not the question I hoped to get, to say the truth. Because I thought I'll get, okay, so it's either this or either that. But it's actually, I found out that it's actually a combination. On one part, it was my own, I had to have my own education made me that I didn't, or my own interest made that I didn't really engage much. But it was also part of how they educate us in Curacao to not care about those things. And one part I also found out is that because I'm also a woman, I wasn't actually expected to care about these things. And I saw that a lot in my family itself. because my aunts are more vocal about it, but my mom is not much. So in a way, it was a bit of a thing growing up that because my mom doesn't comment on it, I didn't feel comfortable commenting on it, even though I had opinions, because there was no one backing me up. But at the same time, it was personal choice, because then I had to be the one that say, hey, I really want to talk about it now, and let's talk about it now. Yes.
Okay. And one last question.
Okay,
in terms of it,
in 1 minute.
Yeah, 1 minute. It's
answer.
just
Okay,
in terms of future prospects. So you mentioned something about this possible exhibition in October, but
Yes.
can you look a little bit beyond that? I mean, where do you see yourself for next year or in 2 years' time?
Well, I hope for next year that I can actually, before 2022 finishes, I hope that I can actually present this work in Curacao. I actually really want to translate and put this work where it belongs. Because right now, of course, it's here, but ultimately I want to put it in Curacao. And then from there on, I kind of want to keep on working with people from Curacao to make the country and the, let's say, mentality in Curacao stronger, so that we can actually progress.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you, everyone. And the next person on the stage is, at a drum roll, it is Yala. Take it away.
All right, thank you, Mara. So I am going to talk about my project, which is called Verlangens, which is Dutch for Forbidden Desires. I ended up making a movie that is titled Yala. And in this movie, I'm dancing in a dress on 3 different locations. So on Vrijthof Square in Maastricht, in nature in the Limburg region, and underwater. There's also a couple of interviews in there. And so how did I get there? For the graduation strategy in the second year, at the end of the second year, there were 3 main things in there. So by reflecting and analyzing my main interests and passions and things that I did in my prior work, what surfaced is empowerment and storytelling. And both these words and their definition are very reliant on the context in which they are used. So when I say storytelling, I mean, this could be dance, theater, cinematography, a podcast, written text, spoken word, but it's not limited to text alone. It could also be a light installation, which is then speaking to different senses. So you're basically creating you're creating an experience for someone. And empowerment could also be socioeconomic, it could be political empowerment, women's empowerment, marginalized minorities. So it's also dependent on, you know, what exactly does that mean? And then the third thing in my graduation strategy was that for me, it was clear that for my professional practice, it's conditional that I want to help other people. So I want to contribute to improving the quality of life. So these 3 things raised a lot of questions, and it's kind of the premise of my graduation year. So what kind of empowerment and how do you want to implement that through storytelling? And how is that going to help other people? So in hindsight, I can definitely say this has been a very successful year. I'm very happy with what happened. I'm very content. I'm very proud. All these questions got answered. And you could say that this year has been kind of a self-actualization, an unraveling or crystallizing or distilling of what is empowerment and what does it mean to me and my professional practice. So one thing that I'm very grateful for is that iArts is kind of this place that facilitates you to find your own way, what matters to me and how do I want to do it. So I think before iArts, I have this very negative internal voice that So at some point I had a dream to make this underwater dance film, and this voice says, you can't do it, like you don't know how, you're not skilled enough, you're not good enough, you can't do it, you don't have the funds, you don't have, don't know the people, etc. So I never even gave this idea a shot. I didn't even try. And IARTS has this way of, you just kind of jump off the cliff in the deep end. Like, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know how I'm going to pull it off, but it's going to happen. And I think that is, for me, the biggest highlight of this year, because basically what I came up with, my plan was, I want to do something that is so far out of my comfort zone, so far out of my skills and knowledge, and that I won't be able to guarantee or ensure I can pull this off. And because the main question was, how can I empower myself through art, and with that empower other people? And so I came up with this idea to shoot this film. And this voice never really left that said, you can't do it, or you don't know how, etc. And it was more of a distancing myself from it and just witnessing it, but without taking it to heart. So like, okay, I hear you, but I'm going to proceed anyway. One example is of this. So it's like a paradigm of lack, I would say. You lack the skills, you lack the knowledge, you lack the funds, etc., etc., etc. And what I did is a mentality shift to a paradigm of abundance. So whatever I want is somehow going to happen if I just trust that the right doors will open, opportunities will present themselves. So I bumped into Fons de Jong, who works at Vrijt of Theater, in the street, and I got over my shyness and I approached him because I needed a rehearsal space to create my performance. And he gave me 20 options that he could think of, and one of them was the director of Vrijt of Theater. And I'm thinking, it's lockdown, so all the art institutions are closed. There must be plenty of space for me to rehearse in. And then I contacted the director of Vrijt of Theater, and she granted me permission to rehearse in Vrijt of Theater. And then kind of because they were interested in my project, so I'm saying like, hey, I want to dance underwater in a dress, and I still need an underwater cameraman. And they have this internal newsletter. So she said, well, you know what, I'll just put it in the internal newsletter. Who knows what happens? Maybe someone who works here and has someone in their network. And then as it turned out, the technician working at Vrijt of Theater is a certified scuba diver and also has had a GoPro. So slowly, this is kind of a good example of how things just came together. And then that voice at the same time never left, because, for example, when I finished all the production, so I had shot the film on Vrijthof, on the Limburg landscape and underwater, then I had all this footage and I was going to edit it, and still this voice telling me like, hey, you have all this cool stuff. These interviews were amazing. There's amazing, beautifully stories and anecdotes. People have been very open and vulnerable. And I want to tell this story about conformity. That is what I want to challenge with this film. And that's also what I've been challenging myself to do, to not conform to that inner voice. And if I'm very honest and very transparent, I was actually extremely frustrated and extremely disheartened, and like not literally giving up, but I was very tempted. And then, I started just working on it and progressing. And then as the deadline came near, obviously I had to deliver something. And eventually, I mean, something I learned is that I'm my own hardest critic, and I'm actually now quite happy with what I did afterwards. Also, I got a lot of compliments. A lot of people were moved by the film that I made, which is a really nice validation to get that feedback. I would say I definitely need to fine tune it. So I want to re-record the voiceover and make subtitles and credits. And also I have to replace the music, which is now copyrighted, so that if that's all finished, I can send it to film festivals. So I'm already in touch with, I've been in touch with someone from the Dutch Dance Days, and then I can also look into other festivals that I can send it to. And for my future plans, I think my entire graduation year would have been very different if COVID didn't happen, because I would have probably been much more interested in actually doing something with dance. So basically combining mental health and dance together. So that is my plan for the upcoming year, to orient towards how can I bring these two things together. And yeah, there's many ways. For example, ecstatic dance, I've heard of 5 rhythms. I recently met someone who is a therapist, and she actually wants to integrate dance into her therapy. So yeah, there's a lot of things that I'm curious about and that I want to orient to, and then make new plans. How am I doing on the time?
You still have 1.5 minutes if you'd like to add something.
Well, that was it. So if you have any questions.
Okay, thank you, Thomas, and congratulations.
Thank you.
And it is time for questions. The assessors for Thomas are Marie, Isabel, and Guus. Who would like to start?
I can, or you can, Isabel.
Yeah,
As you wish.
Can I go?
Yeah.
Yes, well, thank you very much, Thomas, for this presentation and for your project and documentation. I've really enjoyed it. I have a question. My first question is, so after this trajectory that you had, in the past year, how would you describe yourself this very moment, artistic wise?
You mean kind of as an artistic position, or?
Yeah, I mean, imagine you contacted an art institution, or you get in touch with someone, and how would you describe yourself?
So my main passion and focus is empowering storytelling. So I want to somehow, whether it's, so I have a personal background in contemporary dance and theater, and a bit of experience with cinematography, and I look for ways to tell stories that inspire other people to live, a better life. So I, how do you say, invite introspection and reflectivity, and I hope to change the world for the better.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Hi, Thomas.
Hi, Marie.
Hi. The problem is I had some questions prepared, but you answered them all with your presentation. Okay. So, but I will just still ask 2 of them, and maybe you can tell me a bit more. So you obviously empowered yourself this year, and you say, or more or less state, that you're now empowering others too. Or at least that's what I hear. You inspire people with your movie. But more on a meta level, can you elaborate on it? How do you really empower others by empowering yourself? Is it only via an artistic medium, or are there also more ways in which you found out you're doing that?
So there's a word in Dutch, zweverig, that there's not really a good translation for in English, but basically it's the opposite of down to earth. So maybe this is gonna sound a little bit zweverig, but I think the thing is, for me, it's not necessarily only the output. It's not the end product. It's not the result of this film that I made and that people are going to watch, because it's also the journey towards it. It's the entire process where, I've obviously, this is a project I couldn't possibly have done by myself. So I've had a lot of help from a lot of people. And that meant that I also, of course, had to engage them in this project. And it sounds maybe a bit too exaggerated, but convince them that this was worthwhile. And in that way, I think people...
So it's also the interaction in the process itself with others. that you kind of empower each other. Okay, thank you. What form is your film? What art form or what art forms does it represent?
Well, I would call it a short documentary slash dance film hybrid.
Okay, and then I was wondering what platforms are there for that kind of project or film?
So for now, I would definitely approach either dance festivals or maybe queer LGBTQ film festivals. And I have considered if I would make a version of it which tackles the same topic. So the core remains the same, except maybe it's addressed in a way that it could be maybe a bit more accessible for, let's say, high school students. So I could show it on high schools.
Okay, that's interesting. So also go there yourself to talk about the topic.
Exactly.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah. Yes, all these questions you answered, your next steps and about your network. Yeah, so I don't have any further questions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Thomas, for a wonderful presentation. I have one very short question, I guess, and that's how is your inner voice treating you lately?
Yeah, so like I said, it hasn't really changed. Like this voice is still there. If I'm super honest and transparent, watching Gsell's presentation, I was thinking to myself, oh, I didn't do a good preparation. Because for me, I hear a lot of
I can't hear you, Thomas.
Marie, maybe it's your mic. I don't know. Yes, thank you. Okay. I mean, obviously, I can't tell. I don't know if it's ever gonna leave. I'm just really proud of myself for overcoming that. I mean, that it's just a voice now, and I don't have to identify with it anymore. I can just hear it, witness it, and then just realize I prepared this presentation yesterday, and I'm happy with it. And I could have. There's always, that's the thing. There's always something else you could have done, something you can look back on and say, I could have improved that. But then that's kind of this existential FOMO like thing, like when is it ever enough? So I think I'm just learning to be happy with where I am in this moment, and yeah, eventually hoping to inspire other people that maybe are struggling with the same. Yeah.
Okay, so we would have 3 more minutes if anyone has any more questions.
Then yes. I have a question.
Of course.
Thomas, in your presentation, you talk about this mentality shift from mentality of lack to a mentality of abundance. And I mean, we've known each other for almost 3 years now. And something that I've noticed is this shift from, working solo to collaboration. And it's something that, it's very, very visible in your CPE and in your documentation. And I see that has had a very positive impact on the artist that you are becoming. So my question is, can you reflect on that shift of being stuck, in your mind with your inner critic, and all the conversations that we've had, and discussions, and to this, to where you are now?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for pointing it out, because I feel the same way, or I recognize what you're saying. I think the result of constantly questioning everything, including yourself, including your work, including your future perspective, it just gives a lot of tension and a lot of anxiety, and just without, like, basically you can't predict the future. So I can't say that if I'll ever make money of doing this, but that's not the point. So the point is just to trust that, I mean, I'm here for a reason, and I have an important message to share. So there will be a place for me in this society, and just trusting that somehow it will work out, and doing affirmations, it just gives this relaxation. So like, instead of constantly feeling like I need to be on my feet, am I missing opportunities, am I doing it right? So just sit back and trust. I am talented, I have skills and knowledge, and I can contribute something to this world. And yeah, that relaxation just then kind of seeps into, it has set, into this project and into the collaborations that I did.
So you see that state of relaxation as a springboard to reach out to other people.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying, because it's about collaboration. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Thomas, for your presentation. I think your reflections indeed were very inspiring. I saw some people nodding their heads, so I don't think I'm the only one who thinks that.
Oh, thank you.
And, yeah, next person who's going to present is Welmoed. Take it away.
Hello, good morning. I made a little video and I'll send you the link in the chat. Ta-da. Mara, can you maybe in 11 minutes welcome back then everyone?
Yes, we'll do. So the video is 11 minutes. Yes, then see you back at, it's 10 in the Netherlands. So see you back at 10. Let's wait a little bit more until everyone is here. Okay, it's 1 minute past 10. Welcome back, everyone, and thank you, Welmoed, for your presentation. So I give the mic to the assessors, which is Nina, Isabel, and Hoos for Welmoed. Who would like to start?
Welmoed, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your CPE, for your documentation, and for this presentation. I have to watch it on my mobile phone because somehow, probably a technical problem on my computer. What a pity that I wasn't able to attend your performance live, but at the same time, I was able to watch it online. That gives you a different perspective. Well, I have a question that was related to that. I think I would have asked if I were in, if I had been in your performance, but it has to do with the writing and the selection of text. Could you tell me how does that work? Yeah, so well, I know about you already went through, the writing process and all these different stages, but about the selection.
Yeah.
How do you select?
It was quite a natural process in the end, which was a very good. I just found a very good focus at a given moment, and I mean, you start writing, and it's a search for when the elements are, making sense, and suddenly, I mean, as long as you stick to it, it sort of starts to take shape, and you understand that certain elements are right, and some things you thought they were right, but they're not. I mean, you just know while you're writing, and the sort of the character starts to grow, and she sort of starts to get she starts to be a persona of her own, and so that was a very natural process. I mean, in the end, I also got rid of certain texts because while doing the performance, it suddenly, reading the text, it made sense that some of them had to go out, because with a performative translation, that's sort of a whole other dimension again. Yeah, what can I say about that? Or do you mean?
Well, I mean, so far, then I perceive that as a sort of intuitive process. But my question is, when you had the text, organized, so when you had come up with an order, I mean, what, and maybe, if that was a result of intuition, when you look at it, I mean, do you see diversity? Do you see that, they are in a way complementary? Do you, in terms of this, how do you interpret that order, aside from that initial intuitive
yeah, it's funny because
character that led to that?
Yeah, I have two different orders. I have the order for the text when you would read them as text, and I have another order when you would do it in a performative setting. And I changed that order for the performance the night before, because we found out something is not working. So in the performance, it's you sort of start inside the head of this person, and it's more of a, I don't know, it's still a bit weird and strange, or like you're inside her room, and then there's sort of a, maybe it's something psychological, and then you get more sort of normal, mundane stories, and you kind of get out of her room or her head, and then that's how it works. And with the texts, when you would read them, it's the other way around, a bit more, and it's a bit more closed off. So you start in her room, and then she thinks about things that happened outside of her room, and then you come back to in her room. But I didn't think of it that concretely when I started with the text. I mean, I just had the text and then I saw a line, and so that happened quite intuitively. Yeah.
I was just curious about the reflection on that line. And my last question is, looking back on, on this year, I mean, from the beginning, I mean, already last year with your graduation strategy, and taking your future plans into consideration. So again, congratulations for being accepted at Rietveld. What would you like to expand or to expand on on what you've done so far, and what you think are going to be your biggest challenges?
What I want to expand on what I did so far. Oh man. Well, I have to say that doing the performance was a very good experience, and it was a long time that I did something like that, and it made me realize that I very much enjoy that as well. And I like to be, I don't know, I enjoy that being on the stage as well. It's a bit, I don't know, it's strange. It's different parts. I mean, I enjoy the writing and being in my own room, but I also really need that sort of connection with other people. Also working together with Marlijn was like an epiphany, because it works so much better to just be in contact with someone. So that are good experience that I will, take with me. And what I want to expand on, I mean, the coming year at Rietveld, what I really want to try, it was an advice from Marie, actually, my coach, and she said, take it as a chance to take things lightly and just try things out. And I'm really looking forward to do that, to just, try
taking things lightly. Yeah. That's a very good advice.
Yeah.
Well, last but not least, I remember the first performance that I saw, by you was in year 1, in which, we were outdoors, and you basically, just walked past and you disappeared. Yeah, and you escaped. And so I was very positively surprised, to see how far you've come, when you were able to, to hold a performance for 22 minutes in front of an audience, in a confined space. So I think that also, where you started, where you finished at IART is also very, very interesting. Not only for you, but also for, I think, for the IART community, not only assessors, but peers, to see that transformation. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Isabel. Would you like to ask something?
Well, maybe not so much ask something as maybe sort of pose a sentence, because you talk a lot about your search for focus, and also about in your evaluation you talk about being specific about research. And I was wondering, like, is there something that you can say that like, considering this specific theme of getting focused, that you will take from IARTS to the Rietveld maybe next year?
So wait, something that I learned in IARTS that I will take to Rietveld? Oh man. That's a tough question. I mean, what I learned in IARTS is just to be, I guess, to be present. Maybe that's the first thing that I have to think of, to be present. And I mean, IARTS, it's very limitless. And I mean, I don't think that Rietveld will be such a very concrete studies, but it's just in a general thinking beyond definitions and thinking beyond borders. I mean, that's creative freedom, and to find focus within that really big amount of possibilities. It's tricky, but I learned that it's possible, and that you can just, one word can offer so much. So yeah, and in that sense, it was like a good, IARTS was a good, I don't know, a good, it was good. I had to learn some things. Yeah.
That's a great answer. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Welmoed. And Welmoed was the last one in this round of presentations. So congratulations to everyone who already presented. And yes, we are going to have a little break, a little bit less than 15 minutes. Let's see you back at 10:25.
Okay, so welcome back. Is everyone back, or should we wait for someone? For this part of for the rest of the presentations, I'll take over as the moderator so that Mara can actually rest and focus on her presentation. Yes. Yes, so I think all assessors are here. Are all presenting people also here? For now, we have Paula, Kelvin, and Elena that are presenting. And we will start actually with Paula. So take it away.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. For my presentation, I made a video. I'm going to share the link now. It's 10 minutes long. And yeah, I hope to see you back in 10 minutes. Thank you.
Where is the link, Paula?
Hi, Saskia. Do you see it on the chat?
No, that's strange. I've opened the chat.
I can send it again.
Thank you. Oh, yeah, there it is. Thank you.
Okay, so I hope everyone finished watching the video. Slowly coming back. Yeah, so now we have 10 minutes for questions, and I'll give the stage to Marie, Ilona, or Guus, who wants to start.
I can start.
Yes.
Congrats, Paula, on your great movie. I'm a big fan. I'm a bit biased because I'm crazy about this kind of movies. I want to talk about the social impact that you would like to have and bring things to discussion. Do you think your film is doing that or already doing that? And is it a problem that the art form you choose is also very much an art house film, I would say, and is a specific audience? Do you think you can have an impact with a very specific audience, or do you think this could be seen by many kinds of people?
Oh, is that on a bit weird? Hello?
Is there a problem?
Oh, it was a bit weird just now. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Well, I think that it can have social impact. I think that it brings about a lot of questions. However, I do think that for it to have the impact that I want, I would have to present it with a synopsis, with a logline, really explaining the context. And that's something that I didn't really have the time to specify for this presentation. But I think that once I send it to different festivals and then the context is really understood, then it can start to have the impact that I want. And also it ties in with the idea that I already have to have these small film festivals. Because what I would like it is for it to have a selection of films that they try to do the same thing. They present something that is usually not presented, and then you can discuss it. So I see my film fitting that kind of project.
Okay, that's a very clear answer. Thank you. And on the artistic result, are you happy? And are there still points for improvement, or is this the perfect version?
I am happy with what I did with the time I had and the resources. But there are still some things that I want to change. The music has to be mastered a bit more. I think I could look back into it and maybe change a little bit of the editing to make the story a bit more clear while still remaining surreal. But I will say I'm 95% finished.
Okay, thanks. Who made the music, actually?
Her name is Monica. I can't say the name because she's Polish and it's really difficult. But yeah, she made the music for me. I met her here in Maastricht, but she's now back in Poland. And she worked with somebody who plays the flute. She played the kalimbo. She found someone to play the theremin, which I didn't use so much, and then also the harp. We used a lot of the harp, and then also the female voice.
Just my compliments. It's very good. It really supports your movie very much. Yeah.
Thank you.
So my last question is, how do you position yourself now?
I position myself as a visual artist, mainly working with film. Like, to be more specific, well, I like to make films, but I like to involve myself a lot in the process of making all the props and the writing and making costumes and so on. So I just put all of that into visual artist.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so then give the space to Ilona and Guus to have more questions.
Yes. Do you, can I, or do you want to go ahead, Guus?
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Well, first of all, compliments on your final result. It was really great looking at it. I have a couple of questions. Well, I would like to continue on the question of Marie, actually, because you say Marie asks what kind of social impact does it have, and then you say it brings about a lot of questions. And so I was wondering, what kind of impact do you pursue?
I think I just want, well, yeah, I'll use this word. I just want some empathy. I think, well, I made this movie about kind of going into the head of this female character, and she's going through puberty. And I think I chose this topic because I just thought to myself, have I ever seen any artwork, any film that really talks about it? And it's really extremely confusing in a lot of different layers. You know, just thinking about how suddenly all of this changes happen in your body, and then, you know, you realize, okay, I'm not the same as my male friends, for example, because now I have to live by a different set of rules, and there is, you know, things that I have to keep a secret even from other women because it's embarrassing. And I think if by presenting this movie with a good synopsis, with a good log line, I think for a lot of people, they might remember again how did it feel for them when they went through that period, and then they will just start talking to their friends about it. And for me, I think that's a very valuable impact.
Yeah, I think
Ilona,
it does.
Sorry, Ilona, can I give Guus questions, because we have 1 minute for Paula, so that everyone can have a question. Yes.
Okay, well, I still have a lot of questions, but okay.
You're muted, Guus.
There we go. Thanks. I think I can follow up on Ilona and Marie with a follow-up question asking, like, how would you ideally contextualize your film? Because of course, film is quite how do you say it? It's something that you as a spectator just look at. But if you would go to a film festival, like, how would you ideally contextualize your film in terms of maybe public programming and stuff like that?
How would I contextualize it? You mean like how would I describe it, or?
No, I think that once you go to like small film festivals, as you suggest that you want to do, there's quite often sort of a public program which contextualizes your film in the sense of maybe having talks or discussions, as you say that you want your film to have an impact. How would you ideally program that?
I don't think that I would do too much. I think I would ideally send it to festivals that are either focused on mixed media or experimental animation or feminist films. And I think this is a movie for like a huge range of audiences. I don't think it's going to traumatize children, for example. And I would say very simply, well, it's just about the period of puberty. It's about accepting the changes. It's about going through a rite of passage. And I just think, again, like if people discuss it among themselves, if they find it interesting, if the visuals impacted them, then that's good enough. I don't think that, this isn't something that is very far away from us. It's something that happens around us and to many of us. So I don't think it's necessary to have, a big panel of people.
Mm-hmm. The movie speaks for itself, you say.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, maybe Ilona, you can throw one more question in, and then we go on.
Thank you so much, Gsell. Well, I was just wondering, how are you going to approach your future plans? Because you have a lot of plans, and how are you going to go about it?
Yes. So I think the biggest plan that I have is a small film festival that I want to have. Daphne is my first partner. She was my mentor for this project. And together we're going to work on a concept, and we're also going to discuss this concept with Sylvia Rothenberg, who is a curator and journalist, and she also does a lot of this kind of projects here and also in Argentina. And we'll go from there, but yeah, hopefully we can start doing small exhibitions and things like that. Maybe join in with existing festivals and do like our own special programming as part of them. That was one idea. And next year I plan on going to Uruguay for a month. If I get some funding, maybe 2 months, and I want to interview people there. I have a lot of interests to do with Uruguayan history and culture that I don't think many people know about. And yeah, just make the animations myself. And these are 2 long-time projects, maybe 5 years of work. But yeah, I think it will solve itself. I'm confident.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Paula, and thank you for presentation. Now we move on to Kelvin.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Yes? Okay. Then I'm also going to screen share, so I'm going to do that right now. Boom. I'm going to start my own timer, resume. And resume. Resume. Reset. Whatever. The timer doesn't work. I'm going to just have to do it. All right. So yeah, I'm going to start with myself. So I am Kelvin. As a kid, I had a very nice childhood. I had lots of sleep, lots of food. It was very great. And then I became a teenager and high school started, and that's where all my problems have appeared. And I became an instant gratification monkey. What I mean with instant gratification is that instead of working a long time to get a result, I was always looking for for gratification right in the moment. And I think this is something that is a social problem right now because everything is so accessible. Like, for example, you can go to a supermarket and get yourself a Snickers without having done any work. You didn't have to farm it or anything. So, but in that time, I already had big dreams, big ambitions, but no skills, no strategy, and no abilities. So what did I do? I studied. And my first studies was actually international business. I tried that out because I thought to start a business, you have to study business, but that was false. So I quit that. That was yeah. Anyways, and then I started iArts, which I did for 2 years, and then I took a break, or I stopped for personal reasons. I won't get into that. But I worked for a small company for 1 year, and that was a good experience. I tried out a lot of stuff, but then I decided to do IELTS, to finish up my IELTS studies, which we are in right now. And I started my project, and I had one issue. Remember, I'm an instant gratification monkey. I had to work on this project for 1 year by myself-ish. I mean, of course, I had support and so on, but there was a lot of free time and stuff that I had to organize myself. So how would I work, right? This was kind of the problem that I had, and helped me come up with the project idea that I then did. And that was, I came across gamification, and this was a way to also help myself become more productive and really solve my personal work ethic problems. And so I decided on the medium of a website because I was interested in this, and I had you have a lot of possibilities to bring out content over a website. And that's how I started dailygamification.com. Then I continued on to the position paper, which I failed, but it still came to a lot of conclusions. I came up with my first web design idea, color choices, file management, a little bit of a process. But either way, moving on, my second position paper, which was more focused on the blog as a core concept, and I passed that. So I moved on to the next stage of my project. This was when I got into my struggle bubble. It was a tough time for me because I had a lot of ideas, and yeah, it was I was struggling with productivity again. But I managed to try out different tools, different gamification methods. I went through all kinds of applications, and then in the end, I got to CoX3, the Notion template that if everybody who saw my presentation, they know what I'm talking about. And this led to a big, so this was like, of the gamification methods that I found, this was the most effective one for me. There were other ones that were also working, but this was the most effective one. Therefore, I had a huge productivity increase just in time. And now I just needed to know, how do I present my results and information to the public, right? And I was also asking myself, how should I take the gamified theme and put it into the design of the website? So I went through different iterations of the website. Initially, in the first version, I had 9 different pages. It was cluttered, it was confusing. Then I reduced it to 7. And finally, I even managed to reduce it to only 4 pages. I added the contact page to every site and so on and so forth. And the nature of my website and my strategy for delivering information changed. So in the beginning, I wanted to really have a lot of content, just bring out content and have like a blog where I just show everything, all my research. But in the end, it became more of a curated website, and I put my personal journey more on my own website for myself. So wrapping everything up, I wanted to know, how will I present this, right? Over what medium should I do this? And I decided for Twitch, because this is the gaming platform the live stream platform for gamers. So I thought it would fit, and I wanted to try it out because I think it's a really cool new medium where you have a different dynamic, and I'm glad I tried it out and it worked out. So then I just needed to figure out, how do I show my documentation, and I did this over my personal website. Anybody's free to check it out. And yeah, so what are the skills I acquired during the year? I think I learned a lot. I tried out a bunch of stuff. Project planning was a big one. Budgeting, WordPress, Photoshop, OBS, all the software kind of like around producing the content, blogging, podcasting, yeah, the media programs like Adobe and stuff like that. I already mentioned that. Then researching was also a big part, and documentation. So just to review how iArts helped me develop as a person, I'm not going to get into this so much, but before I started iArts, I didn't see myself as an artist, even though I was always doing art throughout my life. And because I was always interested into like the tech art, kind of like the Photoshop and video editing. And for some reason, I didn't see that as an artist. So through my iArts experience, my whole understanding of what art can be has become so much bigger. And I totally find myself creating connections between things that I otherwise would have never seen a connection. And yeah, I'm really grateful for the experience. So that's that. And now to my future plans, how I'm gonna take this project to the next step or continue it on is that first thing, I'm gonna continue on the website. I want to add more content, more reviews of different applications. Then I connected to the CoX3 community, which I wish to collaborate with people. This is gonna probably be free. Like I'm not gonna get paid for that, but I'm okay with that because everybody's super nice and I already got a lot from them also for free. Then I want to continue my web design abilities and my content creation abilities, and maybe I can find like jobs in that field. Then I want to create gamification workshops, especially in schools. I think that could be a really cool path to take. Then I want to also try myself in applications, like application development, creating apps for phones, because I found a lot of limitations in the ones that exist right now. So I think I can do it better, hopefully. And finally, I want to fulfill my dream to influence the education system by providing better systems that are following the human-focused design approach, which is the approach that I learned over the course of this year about gamification. Yeah, that's that from me. I think.
Right on time.
Right on time. Perfect.
Yes.
Great.
So now we start with the questions. I would ask everyone or every assessor, and that is Tony, Saskia, and Guus, to give each other space to question. So one question for now, and then if we have time, we keep on going. Yes.
May I start?
Please do.
Well, based on the enthusiasm, Kelvin, that we've seen during your CPE, I think it's safe to state that you have found a sweet spot, and that's important. So I congratulate you on that. And you have also made it a very personal thing, a personal journey to deal with these problems you had, issues, challenges. Now, if I look at the black cloud you just shared, I'm very curious in where are you right now, knowing that you are at the end of a program that should ideally get you ready to enter a job market or to at least find means to pursue the dream. And what does it take right now, knowing that you are in such a complex transdisciplinary field where a lot has to be developed simultaneously to actually make value or a living in that? How do you see that?
Yeah, so I'm definitely gonna. It kind of goes from right to left from the cloud. Oh shoot, I'm gonna show it real quick again. But initially, what I'm gonna do now is that I'm gonna focus on just continuing on the website and collaborating with this CoX3 community because they've given me so much, and I think I can just really continue on developing through that. And there might be also like job opportunities that will open up in that community. And then since I've been already doing so much, I actually created 6 websites over this year. I mean, just 2 for this project, but since I was working on websites, I also made other ones for other people. So I think that's something I can continue on as a skill that will really get me into the job market. And so hopefully I can find a job that will give me a little bit of money so I don't have to worry about earning money. But then I'm totally content on first putting a couple years of just free work into the website and all this stuff, because like you said, it's so complex and you have to do so many things at the same time. I think it's going to take a couple of years to really ripen and become something that I can maybe market and so. But I've gotten to a I'm very confident with what I have now as like a basis to continue my work on, and it can go in different directions still, but I have some ideas already in mind, and I'm very happy about that.
Cheers.
Yeah, thank you, Kelvin. Also, thanks for your work. I had a lot of fun watching your CPE. Thank you for that. It's really joyful. To follow up on Tony's question, and also to hopefully help you a little bit in becoming a bit more concrete towards your future, one remark first, and that counts for everybody. Please don't work for free. With your abilities, you will be a false concurrence for young professionals. I think you deserve it to be paid. So don't underestimate your value for the market.
Yeah.
That's a serious remark. And also think you should contact Anneliek Peters, who is currently working in the field of ICT and developing websites as well. And she might be delighted to get to know more, learn more about your abilities, and perhaps she can even assist you in getting a job. Now the question, in relation to the fact that you now have presented yourself with a lot of opportunities, like you could become an educational developer or even a coach within the educational field, an intermediary, an instructor, anything. That connected to the fact that you have the ability to come up with new terminology, which I really like. How do you see, or would you define your role in the future in the context of semi-post-COVID times? And who would you prefer to work with? Because you mentioned this CoX3 community, but there might be some other future potential partners. So could you become a bit more concrete? What would be the ideal context and what would be your preferred role?
Yeah. Okay, so first of all, just to respond to what you said initially with the being to get paid, like if I work for somebody else, I will ask for money. But since the website right now, what I'm doing is my own project, and I would be happy continuing that, like without asking for money for like sponsorship or so. Like I don't want to be influenced by sponsors, and that's really important to me, that money doesn't play a role in my decision making, and I really don't want to seek out connections with people to earn money. So I really have to focus or like keep that in mind while I seek out opportunities and stuff.
Turn it around, flip it, make them seek you.
or that, yeah, that's what I mean, right? If I were to continue working on the website for free without any pressure, doing my own thing, then I think at some point people are gonna reach out to me because I've created so much value for people. And with who I would like to collaborate, I'm open to collaborate with anybody.
That's too vague for now.
I know. But what I mean is that I would
just frame your ideal situation.
My ideal situation would be that I like working in the internet, and because it's global and it has the potential to reach a lot of people. I'm not so interested necessarily to to go into facilities and do little workshops with like 5 people or so, or 5 or 20 people personally at this moment, but I'm willing to explore that and try that out. So I tried to collaborate with live streamers, honestly, or with YouTubers and stuff like content creators that are publishing their stuff in the internet. That would be my dream. I think that would be really cool because I can do that from anywhere in the world to anywhere in the world, and it has the potential to reach a lot of people at the same time. And I think that's a really cool medium, and that would be my passion. Yeah, that would be great.
Thank you. I have another question, but I will keep it for now because Sue asked to pass on to Guus.
Well, maybe you can ask another question, Saskia, because I had one question, but I think it's already partly answered in the sense that I was really wondering how you see your offline future as well, Kelvin.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you talk a lot about sort of YouTube communities and just
Okay, but I'll go into that because like I'm not completely against offline or so, but if I were to go into the offline realm, I think what I'd be most interested in is doing workshops with teachers. I think that would be really cool, with educators, because that also has a big impact, and I think they can benefit a lot from gamification. I know that business and sales groups also could benefit from gamification, but I don't like those. I'm not going to say I don't like those type of people. That's terrible. But I'd prefer to hang out with educators and kids and that space personally. But yeah, so workshops would be cool. I would really like to try that out. Yeah.
Cool. Is there a space, Sue, for another question? Great.
Just 1 more minute.
Okay, thanks. Now, in this ideal world, Kelvin, what role would art play in your future practice?
Mm-hmm. So as my definition of art has changed, and I basically see art anywhere where you create anything. So art is everywhere anyways, and I think art is something that is always going to be that I'm always going to be using to get my message across in the most entertaining and appealing way possible, right? Like,
well, you see it more as a tool, if I understand you correctly then.
Yeah, I think art is a communication tool, especially in this case. Like, it's the communication tool that should make it easy for people to absorb the knowledge that is being shared. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Kelvin. Thank you for your presentation. And now we move on to Elena. Elena, are you there? Yes.
Hi, everybody. I'm also sending a link to my presentation. So, yes, please find it in the chat and see you in around 9 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, so I hope everyone is slowly coming back. Thank you, Elena.
Thank you.
Now we have time for you. No, sorry, Saskia and Ilona to have questions, and Guus, of course, also.
If nobody wants to start, I can start. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Elena. I think it's really impressive how much artistic work you have produced this past year, and also strongly related to your research and your content. So congrats on that. I'm going to try to combine my two questions. You already gave us a glance into your future perspective, that you want to continue with this topic and project and take it to other cities. If you relate that to who could become your future collaborational partners, what should I then envision? Also to create some kind of a business model out of this, for example. And in terms of presentation, if you're going to take it to another city, what would you improve in terms of presenting in relation to your first experiment in Maastricht?
Yeah. Okay. I am going to try to answer them as one. So for like future collaborators, I am kind of very open because right now I am a little bit in the process of moving, and I already have some contacts with people, but I feel like it's still a little bit something for me to discover as I go to this new location. But otherwise, I am in contact also online with people, and I do also realize that it would be very nice if I could use somehow what I've learned, to work on a bigger project with other people and like making augmented reality or something like that, because that's very interesting. But about what I would improve, I definitely think that because of some technological issues with creating the app, I didn't clarify very well for example, someone who would just discover the sticker with the QR code. I think I need more instructions on like what is this about and how do you discover the artwork and follow the path of it. So I definitely think I need to include more information in this QR code, and just organize it a little bit better because of course it needs directions like for the map and stuff that maybe were not completely clear with the first version. Did that kind of answer the question?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, thank you. I'll pass it on to my colleagues for time reasons. Thank you.
Okay, can I go ahead? First of all, congratulations. I was wondering if you feel content about what we saw.
Of course, there was this issue that it was very difficult for me to release the application also for Apple in general, and I knew that this was not very convenient for a lot of people. And in general, I really felt like this aspect of the application would kind of unite the rest of the work that I showed more clearly on my CPE. But I do feel like because this was something that I totally newly discovered and tried doing this year, so I do feel like I made a lot of progress and learned a lot, and yeah, I kind of just did what I could with this whole new, I don't know, medium that I was trying out. But yes, I worked. I think that in the end I managed to coordinate the visuals and the music well, for my personal expectations of myself. And yeah, so the next thing that I would really like to do is just yeah, like develop more the application so that it runs smoothly.
Yeah. Yeah, because I saw that you did a lot of research. It was really impressive, and also seeing the YouTube films that, well, actually we should have seen at the location. I think it's really a pity that there was no plan B, and I think that's maybe the comment that I want to give, that maybe in future, when you're not ready, skip the first plan and try to get to plan B, and so that people see what you actually mean, what you meant to be shown. And now I felt sorry for it. Yeah.
If he has another question.
I have no additional questions. Thanks.
Okay, so does someone else have some questions? We have 4 minutes left for Elena.
Well, if nobody else has one, just to come back to your answer on my first question, Elena, about your future partners. You were saying that you were talking to some people, and if I understand you correctly, you are talking to people in the world of augmented reality. Is that true? Did I understand that correctly? Because my question is, could you become a bit more concrete to what kind of people would you like to work with in terms of how could you connect them artistically, or would it be more like partners to help you with, let's say, executing your work and giving it a platform and reach an audience?
Well, yeah, so I actually realized that I, by accident, didn't include a part where, because I mentioned a name in my video, Martin, he's a guy from Bulgaria that develops also augmented reality, and he was helping me a little bit with making this app as well. And yeah, he is also advising me a bit on how to finish it. And otherwise, I don't have other contacts besides him for augmented reality specifically.
Okay. All right. Oh, Sue, you were muted.
Is there any more questions, or from students or from other teachers? No? Okay, so then that concludes this part of the presentations. We have now planned that the next 2 presentations that are for Mara and Antonia are going to proceed at 2 o'clock in the, I think it's called afternoon. Yes. So I hope to see you all back again at 2. I hope you enjoy your break. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Sue.
Well done, everybody, up till now. See you back this afternoon.
Bye-bye.
Okay, welcome back everyone. I think we'll wait 2-3 minutes, maybe Isabel and Gsell coming back, or...
I'm here.
Ah, okay, you're also here. Then we'll just wait for Isabel, that is. Is your sound already working, or? Okay, I think we'll wait for a couple of minutes so that you can respond. And... Ah, okay.
Joel, kun jij wel praten, want je staat op mute. Doet je microfoon het wel? Als je unmute? Oh, je hoort helemaal niks.
Niks.
Okay.
She's also stuck, I think, so she's either coming. Yes. I hope she can figure it out because she's the first disaster for this meeting, so we'll have to wait a little bit.
Yeah, that's wise. Shall I call you in the meantime?
Yes, maybe.
Okay.
I hope you all had a lovely break, 3 hours break.
I got the voicemail from you.
Oh.
Does you also need to assess Antonia?
No.
Oh, she's calling me back now. Just a second. Hey, Joel met Sas.
Ja.
Hang je helemaal vast?
Ik weet niet, ik heb hem herstart. Maar ik ga even... Praten jullie eens even, want ik heb nu iets veranderd.
Ja, wij horen jou. Ik hoor jou nu via de computer.
Ah, dan is het oké, dan is het opgelost. Ja,
maar jouw beeld hangt wel vast.
Hangt mijn beeld vast?
Ja. Maar dat geeft niet. Het belangrijkste is dat we je kunnen horen.
Ja. Oké.
Jij kan ons wel zien.
Even camera aan en uit.
Jullie. Ja.
Even de camera aan en uitzetten, zegt Tony. Dat wil ook wel eens helpen, ja? Maar nou, denk je dat we kunnen starten, Joel?
Is het nu bewegen?
Nee.
Nou ja, dan start maar. Dan ben ik ben aanwezig.
Oké, super.
En ik heb ook gezichtsuitdrukkingen, dus ik zit niet totaal ongeïnteresseerd erbij. Dus,
oh ja, daar ben je in beeld. Ja, helemaal goed. Oké, we can start. Great.
Okay, before we start, I would like to again ask everyone to mute their mics so that there's no disturbances in between. And we will start again this presentation round with Mara. Mara, take it away.
Yes, hello everyone, welcome back. So I'm gonna share my screen, give me a second. Okay. So can everyone see the Moving Sound logo full screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I am here to present my graduation project that's named Moving Sound. And the concert of Moving Sound took part in Latvia on the 21st of August. And that was the moment when this whole year's research came together. But yeah, I think the first important thing I want to say is that this is only the beginning, because while I did my research, I realized that there is so much more to the discipline of plant-generated music and plant communication and all the other things I was researching. So I was thinking about this as the first pinpoints in a road towards more experiences and more exciting ideas. So this concert was in two parts. In the first part, I was playing compositions that were composed based on plant-generated music, and those were location-specific compositions. Before people came, they got a little booklet with a little map where I had pinpointed where were the trees and the plants I had recorded for this concert. I will tell more about the change of location a little bit later, from Maastricht, which was the original plan, to Kuldiga, this little beautiful town in Latvia. But first, the second part of the concert started with me setting up the plant-generated music devices. One plant-generated music device was attached to a tree that was growing right next by the stage. And the other one, as you can see, this boy is holding in his hands, are the sensors that measure electrical impulses. And as all living cells have electrical charge, it also works on humans. So they were able to listen how they sound through plant-generated music devices and compare it to the sound of the tree in real time. But first, yeah, so this whole project started with my graduation strategy. And I feel like this idea of using plant-generated music to bring people closer to nature started a long time before this. So during iArts, I came across this tool, plant-generated music, and I found it through the artist Mylis, who was using this technology for her music. And although at that time I didn't get into much detail of how it works and is it very scientific or is it more of an art tool, I really found fascinating this idea of giving a voice to plants. As I got to know more and more things that are wrong within this world, also through iArts, it opened a lot of knowledge doors and not that bright and happy ones as well. And the issues that were related to the environment hit me the most personally. And so I thought that this plant-generated music tool is the perfect way how to combine my own passion for music and nature and try to involve more people and hopefully make them care more about nature and realize how amazing it is that nature is there and that we are here and that nature doesn't need us, we need nature, and that's the main reason why we should take care of it. So my initial question was, how can art practice be used to strengthen the connection between the contemporary human and one's surrounding natural environment? But when I started the graduation year, I realized that I need to narrow it down because researching the whole art practice and yeah, it's a work of several people's lifetimes. So I narrowed it down to specifics. What is plant-generated music and how can it be used to strengthen the bond between human and nature? And so my research started. I was reading books, watching documentaries, watching a lot of TED Talks. I was researching not only plant-generated music, its history, artists, and how it actually works, so the technology, but also I was getting more into how music impacts our brain and why we humans appreciate music. And just as well to understand the plant world better, I was reading a lot about plant behavior and plant intelligence and biocommunication, and that made me realize that there is so much more we don't know about plants, and it made me even more fascinated. Aside these topics, I was reading some works from innovative thinkers from other disciplines. More specifically, I was inspired by Kate Raworth and Rutger Bregman. And although they come from very different disciplines, I think they have a very, very innovative worldview, and they have a strong vision that everything is not that bad and that we still can change something, and they are communicating a lot of interesting things. One of the ideas that, for example, made the logo was Rutger Bregman's. So if we put the whole history of Earth, the human species, on a calendar, the human species appear only in the last minute of December. And so I integrated this idea in the logo, which you could see was a spiral, and it refers to the spiral of deep time. And yeah, so I also researched a lot more about how plan-generated music works. And I also researched a lot of artists that already use it, because it's not a new thing. The first plan-generated music experiments that were first used to conduct research on plans took part in the last mid-century. And one of the artists I stumbled upon was Bert Barton, and he became a huge inspiration for this project and how artists work with plan-generated music. And maybe it was also because I got to meet him and talk with him in person in his studio in Amsterdam. And that also gave me a new view on how much more is there, how many possibilities you can get with plan-generated music. Not only because he was working with a lot more advanced plan-generated music tools than I was in this project. He was not working only with electro signals, but he had sensors that measured the speeds of how the sap of the tree is moving, the photosynthesis, and lots of other measurements that need very specific devices. And he had a lot of these kinds of devices made for him specifically. And what I found very inspiring was that he was not only working with music projects, he was also trying to make a change on the level of municipality. The morning in Amsterdam when I met him, he was a little bit late because he had a conversation with a lady from municipality about actually changing laws to allow farmers to use their land more for planting trees. And also Bert Barton invited me to join his recording session in his studio in France. And that was very, very, very exciting. But unfortunately, this plan got canceled because of a tragedy in his family. And so I realized that during this year, not only with tragedies that happen either way, but also with COVID, things change very, very fast. But still, this conversation has stuck with me ever since. And so if I wanted to use plan-generated music, I had to have a device. And I also researched a lot of commercially available devices that are already out there, but they were mostly very expensive with my budget that would be available. But lucky for me, around November, I found instructions by this electro engineer, Sam Cusimano, and he had published the parts and the coding for MIDI Sprout device. And this gave me a chance to try to make a device myself. It was a huge challenge because I walked in without having any knowledge of electrical circuits and any kind of engineering, but I thought that this would be very, very interesting. So I had to get together all the parts, and it took some time because deliveries were very, very slow during winter. Also, sometimes I made mistakes as I didn't know the small difference in numbers of all the small parts, and sometimes I had to order parts again, and the delivery took another month or so. But by January, I was able to build the first breadboard model that worked. And I thought, okay, this is perfect. This device works, and I can just go on working with it. But around that time, the device started lagging. Sometimes it worked very well, sometimes it didn't. And I realized that I need more help with this. So I contacted Hans from iArts, and he was a big help with the technical issues we had. And we realized that the breadboard model is very, very fragile, and it might be one faulty cable or maybe just a loss of connection that might be making the device to lag. So we realized that I have to... Sorry, what?
One more minute.
One more minute, okay. So I realized I have to solder the device. While I was trying to solve all these other problems, I was trying out different editing ways of how I could turn the music into my own compositions. And also writing lyrics and brainstorming. And I finally got all the parts and started soldering. And during this time, I was working with my partners from Intro and Situ. But because of the spike in COVID in the Netherlands, I decided that it will be better for my project to take place in Latvia. And I was very, very lucky to find new collaborators that helped me to make the concert happen. And I found a very, very nice location. And so I had to change a part of the compositions that I had composed for specific locations in Maastricht. And I also changed the language of my performance to adjust to my audience in Latvia. Here you can see city of Kuldīga and how my recording sessions looked. I was spending hours just sitting next to the device and my computer and writing down things and listening to plant-generated music. And yeah, so this is shortly how this project came to be. There are a lot of other aspects, but as our time is restricted, I will leave it up to you to ask questions to me. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mara. Now we have time for the assessors. For the assessors to ask questions, and that will be Yul, Ilona, and Guus.
Yeah. Shall I start? Okay. Oh, yeah. Where's Mara? Is Mara gone? Oh, yes. Thank you very much, Mara, for this presentation. And yeah, indeed, I have a question because it is wonderful how you dived into the technical part of recording plant sounds and how you proceeded and make music sounds of it. Where I am very curious about is, so you reflect on the technical part of your whole process last year, but I am so curious for how did you develop and grow in writing your lyrics and composing your music?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I will start with the lyrics. Writing the lyrics were quite of a battle for me because I don't write often. That's why the reflection sessions that I did while I was recording, when I was writing that, I was not trying to write lyrics specifically. Through my notes from my research plans and some things that I have read, and I was writing free flow of mind. Also involving the elements of the nature around me and trying to reflect on my own thoughts and my own feelings regarding this. And so afterwards, when I had to compose and arrange, I went through all of my notes again, and I was looking for ideas that are maybe repeating. And looking for phrases or sentences that I could use in lyrics and kind of try to filter out all the information within the lyrics. I realized that rhymes are quite important to me, that I am not used to, that I really want to make kind of a structure to the lyrics that are in 4 lines, and I also like how I can use rhymes to play with the music material at the same time.
Yes, but then last question, or because I'm so curious, you are already a musician, a great singer, and making music. So I'm so wondering, when you came to iArts and now you leave iArts, what have you then? What has changed?
Well, honestly, I have to say that I regained my love for music because the music high schools that I've been to, basically I've been studying music my whole life, but I always thought that the frame with music is very, very small. So if you're playing jazz, you need to know all the jazz masters and you need to be able to do this and that. That was the thing that was keeping me back of thinking of myself as a professional musician, because I really never had. But when I went to iArts, I realized that there is so much more free form and so many other things, and I don't need to put myself in specific boxes to call myself a musician. And also, this was a training for me with plan-generated music, because I'm very used to having a musical grid. And the plan-generated music signals that come out of plans, they are very hectic. They don't have one common rhythm or meter or one tonality. There were so many dissonances that I had to learn to deal with, and try to make something embracing also the non-rhythmic parts or the dissonance.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Ilona or Gus, any more questions?
Yes. Do you want to go first, Gus, or do you want me to go first?
You can go ahead, Ilona.
Okay. Well, first of all, congratulations, of course, on this final iArts project. I really enjoyed it. A lot of questions were already asked after your CPE last week. And one of my questions was also that how did this project influence your previous work? Because what I see is that, what I think I hear is that you changed the rhythm of the plan-based music to use it, to incorporate it in your new music. And I was wondering, do you really change it? Do you adapt it? Or what do you do with it?
I would be saying that I was trying to find a silver lining between the plan-generated music and my own style, because I am used to jazz, pop music, funk, and more the modern genres where there is a very strict rhythmical grid. And so I was trying to combine these two elements, which is a free flow. So it was also a challenge to create a piece which has no rhythmical grids. It was parts thought through, part improvisation that happened on the stage, but I tried making one piece that was based on a full-length plan-generated music recording. So I was trying different ways and different composing approaches to try to combine them, not to say no to my own style or only to plan-generated music, but to try to change it up, take a little bit more from my own music taste and my own music background, and then maybe in another piece putting the plan-generated music up front and trying it that way.
And will you be using it in the future?
Plan-generated music?
What is the plan?
Oh, so there are a lot of plans. Yeah, I didn't have enough time for that. I think that I should divide my practice into two parts. One would be more social projects, but still all would be based on plan-generated music. And then my own artistic practice where I would give myself more freedom, but I would still like to develop this idea. Because also after this first concert, I realized a lot of other things that what was interesting, that people were so excited about the part where they could interact with the plant. I have an idea to reach out to municipalities, specifically the municipality of Kuldiga, which was where I was working for the last month and created the location-specific pieces. And I still want to create the walking audio tour, and to offer it as a project for next summer for either the municipality or the travel center, because I was talking with the manager of the culture center in the city, and she thought that it's a very interesting project and I could possibly get some funding. Then I have some other social projects. For example, here in Riga, there is a park which is not being used, although it's a property of the municipality. And there are different social initiatives, and you can write projects. And so I thought that I might work on creating a bench which gives off plant-generated music when you sit on it. Of course, I would need an engineer who would help me create the bench and make it weatherproof and make it so that it's not very easily demolished and not as fragile as these devices. So it's a lot of work. But yes, there are a lot of ideas going on. And I would also like to continue this set of having a concert and being as a solo artist who is using plant-generated music as my base. But I realized that I think it would be very important to integrate also video. For example, if I'm performing and if I'm using pre-recorded plant-generated music signals, people should be able to see the plant while it's making the sound. And if I'm using pre-recorded materials, I would like to make an installation that I have a video somewhere next to me on the stage, that people can see the actual location and see the lights flickering as the tree is giving off the concrete sounds. So I think, yeah, this was a nice tryout, but there is still a lot where to grow and develop.
Who's any more questions?
Well,
You're a bit
my
over.
questions, my questions actually pertain to your future plans. So thank you, Ilona, for asking that question, and thank you for answering it already.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so
may I have one question? So I was wondering the stage design. After behind you, you see a wooden construction with pots and plants. Is that your design, or is it part of Darza's garden design?
It was a part of the garden design. I was there in the terraces when they were setting up the stage, and yeah, I thought, the owners of the place really have good taste, I think, and it worked perfectly together with my concept.
Yeah, that was very nice. Yeah, thank you.
Gsell, you're muted.
Yes, so you guys can hear me, right? Okay, thank you. So okay, now we go to Antonia's presentation, and I hope Antonia. Ah, yeah, there is Antonia. Yes, Antonia.
You're mute, Antonia. You're muted.
There we go. Yeah, there we go. Now you can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so I'm the last one. Let's go. So the 2 years I spent in IART allowed me to define my artistic persona, which means I found my themes, my medium, my topic, my source, my genre. I chose the medium of films that feel like an experience, a performance, an art film. My aim was, and still is, to use art to defend the importance of mythology and symbolism as healing tools for society. In terms of the genre, it took me the idea of traveling to Netherlands to discover that I wanted to use Latin American magic realism as style. And I became very proud of my particular heritage in the Netherlands. And this was also the element that drew me to Tarkovsky, one of my main sources, because he surprisingly also shares this genre. At the moment, I used to envision this last project as a student to pay special attention to producing an interdisciplinary work. My aim was to create an atmospheric film, which represented and reproduced a culture, and to consider each element as a composition in itself, each with an equal strength. That meant working separately and thoroughly on costume, movement, light, choreography, makeup, and enhance my technical expertise so as the aesthetic work would shift from being a decorative shell in order to become the theme itself. This that I just described, the foundation for the following project, was already pretty clear and present in me before even starting the graduation process. But this became increasingly stronger and clear through the writing of my graduation strategy and position paper. While I was writing the position paper and graduation paper, at a personal level, parallel to writing the papers, I was working emotionally the idea of being back in Argentina, where I was confronted after 2 years in the Netherlands with a world where Catholicism still dictates morals, it's part of politics, sexuality is still a taboo, a macho society is pretty present in Argentina still, and I found in Argentina I was even poorer than when I had left. And when I mean poor, I mean that 40% of the population is below the line of poverty. This means that most of the people here have no resources and a very low education, specifically because I'm in a province. I am now the currently only one with a really good internet connection and a Mac laptop and a camera. My insight was that because of all of these reasons, my country has no cultural self-esteem at the moment. On top of all of this, I lived one of the biggest wildfires and most dramatic, it was one of the biggest and most dramatic ones, actually. And then I needed to heal, or I felt that I needed to heal the communities and my own trauma. And I began to wonder if this natural catastrophe was ever explained by local legends or folklore. I would also like to note that the entire project shifted completely halfway because what I had intended was not accepted by iArts, which had been a website containing the research for a future film. But pushed by my teachers and mentors, I had to face the prospect of completing the short film. Therefore, I only had 3 months to do it. At the time, it meant a tremendous stress, but I am now grateful that iArts asked me to do this because the experience and learning was profound and enormously rewarding. I started alone with the necessary papers for iArts, which focused, defined, and deepened my themes, medium, and reference. And then the thorough research demanded at the stage taught me that the previous steps determined the quality of the whole future artistic result. The theoretical research was triggered by my interest on learning how to structure a story. Therefore, I studied the hero's journey, skeleton, Jung's archetypal characters, and Tarkovsky's filmmaking. I chose 2 specific films by him, which present a marked structure. In addition, I did an internship with an Argentine film director, Pablo César, where I learned to investigate an ethnic group and its systems of belief, the role of a director, and the different fields involved in filmmaking, how to identify and work with and adapt a legend as well. Finally, Pablo taught me the importance that filmmaking has in documenting and preserving a culture. This work helped me to find Amaranto's legend, which in turn led me to research several elements more. I studied Amaranto's heritage, the indigenous Cometingon culture, the gaucho culture, the costumes, and the history of colonization in Argentina, particularly in the province of Córdoba. For the treatment of the film, I began by writing the script. I fictionalized a legend with the knowledge gained throughout my research. Then I defined a mood board, which included reference of color, light, choreography, costume, makeup, hairstyle, and framing. And then I defined multiple references for each element. I collaborated with a costume designer to create and explore the costumes worn by the gauchos in 17 and 1900s. And then I drew a scene-by-scene storyboard, which is a 22-meter long paper. And then came the team calendar and budget. The filming was a major challenge. I learned what being a director, especially being a director in a poor country, meant, and what no budget means in the sense of being in charge of every aspect of a film, and every day driving 3 or 4 hours off-road to a location every day, to saddling a horse, to catching the bull, to painting the bull's horns, literally, and filming on horseback. And of course, as most of the crew lives in quite poor conditions, to take them out of their business is quite something. So they were very honorable in giving me that time, and I had to be very clever in how to divide the filming days. So mainly filming was sort of a moment to learn how to work with no tools and no time, and I sort of became a gaucho myself by filming this world. Then post-production was another challenge altogether. The team consisted of a musician that lived 6 hours away, and then I had another person who did the Foley, who lived in the USA, and then I had the colorist, the animator, the person who did the illustrations for the animations, and myself. So there I needed to be very focused in order to coordinate and sync the whole team, and especially to keep the emotional calmness, to make everybody feel secure and that we were working as a team towards the same goal. What made it especially difficult is that most of these people don't have the proper tools. So for example, rendering the movie took each time 9 hours. So I needed to become very meticulous and motivated by my team, and motivate my team constantly. Some of my findings, among many others, are that even though filming and editing was an ordeal, the film and project became everything I had envisioned. And I also gained the knowledge and professionalism that I was seeking, that I remember stating from day one in my position paper. I am particularly proud of having found talented people here in the province of Argentina that are self-taught and with no resources. And everybody that I collaborated with taught me about their areas of expertise, so it became a sort of master course for me. I am very grateful to have learned, to have built a direct team, to have done a 36 minutes film, and to have contributed with a story that offered the community a sense of cultural pride and identity. At the moment of doing the event, I realized how much had been achieved in such short time. When I mean event, I mean CP. And how right were my mentors and teachers in believing I could do it. At the CPE, what became clear was that aside from the film, what made this project particularly worthy was the social impact it had in my local community. I narrated a meaningful story that needed to be told, and I put the gaucho theme in the artistic scene, and I gave many people a sense of pride in their identity.
One more minute.
Also, I was able to find many talented artists that had been working solo and anonymously, and gave them a chance to participate in an international artistic project. I also introduced them to each other, creating a sort of network, which I'm sure will be fruitful in the future. I grew and learned as an artist, filmmaker, but mostly as a human being who was able to help the local community and its inhabitants. Thinking now ahead, having completed the first version of the short film, I realized now that there still remains a lot of work to be done. Now comes the time to gather the feedback received, and search for informed criticism from audiovisual professionals. With this knowledge, I can proceed to do a second edited version, as well as creating the PR presentation of the film, which is the synopsis, the logline, the tagline. I would also like to generate and include press. When I mean press, I mean like an article, an interview, or a review. It would be very nice if it would be locally. I have a radio in mind that would be willing to interview me. And there's also a lot of paperwork to do concerning the copyright, the protection of the material. And one of the main and more complex aspects is the local foreign distribution of the film. Even though I'll be submitting my short film to film festivals, I am aware that parallel to this, there are many national venues of distribution due to the cultural importance of the film. It's important to bear in mind that it cannot be an official premiere just yet before I get organized distribution. At this moment, I will concentrate in how to gain exposure, the right exposure, and financing for my next project. At a personal level, the graduation project made me reflect on my artistic pursuit of an aesthetic, atmospheric work. It made me realize that this artistic vision will become an axis, sort of a leitmotif on which all my future projects will rely on. Therefore, I wish to deepen my knowledge on scenography, light, theory of color. I'm also reflecting on the element of script writing as such. If I need to do a course in script writing, to what extent knowing how to use script writing will shift my work towards a more spoken piece rather than communicating visually. I recognize that my strength lies on the visual, but I do know that this is because I lack experience and confidence on the dialogue. And if the visual and the spoken, I'm wondering if they can have an equal force next time. I'm also curious as whether I can work in the same manner, but in a different artistic context, such as music videos and fashion shows. For now, it is clear that filmmaking is the best tool I have to present myself. It is where I am now, and I will keep on doing this to see where it takes me. It is worth mentioning that I still have to solve the part of where I will live in the near future, as Argentina offers no real economic possibilities. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Antonia, for your presentation. Now we go on to the part of the questions. That will be Ilona, Isabel, and Guus. Whoever wants to go first.
Can I start?
Yes.
Hi, Antonia. Thank you very much
Hello.
for your presentation. You really elaborated on well, your journey from the graduation strategy up to now and all the challenges and obstacles that you've overcome. My question has to do with your last aspect that you mentioned in your presentation, script writing. Could you please elaborate on the stages of script writing for this project and the feedback moments that you receive? I mean, did you receive feedback from anyone who worked? You know, what type of feedback did you receive during the writing process?
Yes, actually, script writing was one of my major, one of the things I really wanted to develop, and that I stated in my graduation strategy and position paper. It was my aim to achieve a script. I first took the artistic process very intimate, so I took my legend and went the hero's journey structure, which is what I researched before. I started fictionalizing the legend. So I had a structure and idea in mind already, which was also completed with the archetypes that I used to study. So that process gave me the script somehow already. And then afterwards, I collaborated with 3 people. One of them was Paulo Cesar, the film director who I had been working for. He checked out my script. Then I collaborated with a philosopher. I narrated the whole script to him, and we went through every stage, and if it did make sense in a mythological sense, let's say so. So this is how I worked with my script. And then it became a storyboard.
Okay, so you received then feedback from Paul Cesar and from this philosopher.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you. Okay. My second question is, I mean, there were so many challenges, you know, making this film, I mean, taking into account how you were pressured by time, but you know, in the end, you managed to to get a team of amateurs, but also a number of professionals, and also professional photographer and illustrator, sound actor, musicians, and you were so fortunate to rely on their goodwill. But my question is, how did you manage to get that team together? I mean, were there previous contacts? I mean, how did that come about?
I think it all started when the first person I looked for was someone who had filmed the fires, because I wanted the real material. So the fires that happened last year, I didn't want to fictionize it. I also couldn't, because it's forbidden to make fires in the area. So I researched every local photographer of the area. This is how I came to find Mario. Mario was a person who had filmed the fires from last year. And somehow with him and my team, because he became very impressed with the idea of the legend and that the script would take him to places that he had never gone before, that he became fascinated with this. So then he took over the project, and with him next to me, sort of the right people then started appearing, to be honest. Like once I discovered my first collaborator, and because he's well known in the area, I started having a lot of exposition. And then as soon as we got together filming the Condor, that was something that locally had a lot of impact. But it was between the legend, him, and the exposure I got through him as well.
Okay. So people
people
that you knew, and were all the other people just from the area, or just acquaintances of people?
Mainly yes. The only people that were not from the area, which is something I'm proud of, like the majority is from the area, is the musician and the Foley sound effect person. Both were foreign. With the musician is someone that I've been working already for a year and a half. He's the one who musicalized my previous short movie and won a lot of awards for music. So we kept on going, and I think we are going to keep on going as a duo.
Okay, thank you. And one last question.
Yeah?
I can't hear you. Gsell, I can't hear you. Gsell, you're muted.
Yes, now, yes. Okay. We also have to give Ilona and Chris a bit of time to also have questions. So.
Okay.
Yes, please. Is it possible for me to ask a question? Well, I was wondering, because I remember your last assessment and the way you reacted, because you had so many plans, you had so many ideas of what you were going to do, and we told you to focus more and to make choices and to choose, well, whatever one of the subjects that were in your plan. And well, you said we focused you on the film, but I don't think we really did that. So you made that choice, I think. So I was wondering, who helped you making the choice? How did you proceed? How did you get your focus back? Because we haven't really spoken anymore since then. I don't know if you have spoken to any of our colleagues here. So we were really wondering, how did you proceed?
Yes. Firstly, I would say that it's true that you said to me that I should narrow down my research, let's say, sphere, and that I should concentrate on one aim in the sense of an artistic result. But during that time, I did talk to Petra, my mentor. I did talk to my external mentors, and I did talk to Romy quite a lot. And we did a lot of reflecting, because my main problem was that I was scared that my idea was too ambitious to make it fit in 3 months. But to be honest, they really pushed me there. I mean, they really said to me, come on, Antonia, this is your talent. This is something you can do and get as far as you can, sort of. And I received it as something that I had to do. I said, okay, this right now is confusing to me. It's very complicated. I only have 3 more months to go. but I really felt like they were supporting my talent and that they wanted to see this artistic result, and I trusted them in that, and I am so happy that they did say all these things to me. What I did concentrate on in that moment was the script. My first idea was, okay, I'll get to the script, I'll write everything down, and then I will understand how much time it would take me, and I will divine the scenes, and then it's going to start. But they did push me, but it was good that they did.
Okay, well, it was a nice result. Thank you for the answer.
I see Petra glowing. That's nice to see. Well, I maybe have one question as to your future plans, and I would want to invite you to reflect on what your future plans are, specifically in relationship to the sort of more local communities that you've been working with.
Yeah, that's something. I mean, what I said before, it's true. Like, I'm happy that I'm sort of finishing iArts, but when it comes to the short film itself, there's still a lot of work to be done, because I need to be very careful about distribution. Because firstly, what's a contradiction is that if I do apply to the film festivals, that it's international, which I would love, but it gives you a name and it gives you space, then you are in problems regarding premieres. You can't really premiere it somewhere else. So I have to decide what to do about that. And I know that there's a lot of like cultural centers that here that would be interested in my movie. So I have to see. My idea is I left one session with my external mentors, especially because of this. I knew that this was going to happen. So I left one conversation open to talk about distributions and to talk about copyright and how I should handle this idea of international but local, and how they don't cancel each other out, to be honest. But it's something I will need to learn. I will need to research myself.
I feel there's a tension in your project regarding these two things, about sort of working interdisciplinary and internationally, and also giving space and voice to local communities and talents.
Yeah.
But thanks for your answer.
Thank you.
Okay, that was the presentations for today. Thank you everyone for joining us. And applause for everyone that did the presentation today. I would like to thank everyone that has been here and supported us with this presentation. And I hope you have a nice day further. If there's no comment anymore from anyone else. Yes, Patricia. I felt it coming.
Yes. Again, you all left me in awe with the project of each and every one of you. You all 8 had such a good presentation and good work that I'm really proud of what I've achieved and what the team has achieved with you in all those years. So also thanks to the team for helping you get where you are now. So Welmoed, Kelvin, Gsell, Mara, Paula, Elena, Thomas, Antonia, thanks again. You really inspired me for doing another year at iArts, helping to improve the program, and congratulations. Anyway, later on you will, I guess you will hear about the assessment meeting, but for me you are the best. So thank you.
Thank you, Patricia. Thank you. Okay, so that was it for the presentations today. And I hope everyone can have a nice rest now after all of this. So have a nice day, and that was it.
So everyone,
well, thank you very much.
Sorry,
Can I say something?
One practical question. You've recorded the session, right?
Yes.
Yes. Can we find that somewhere later besides the chat? Because people who could not attend today, like colleagues or perhaps some students, might be good to find that someplace.
I do have to adjust some things because I mistakenly recorded also the whole 3 hours pause. So I have to cut that out. But then after that, I am gonna put it on YouTube, and then from there I email it to everyone else. So
Okay.
to the whole community.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Also
I would just
for
like to
hosting. Yeah. Sorry, Isabel. Go ahead.
I would like to let the students know. So as you know, we'll have the assessment meeting at 4:30 until 6. So by the end, I mean the beginning of the evening, your coach will contact you and inform you of the grade. Okay, so that you know.
Isabel, then one question. So I should send the recording before the assessment meeting for the assessors that couldn't be there?
Ideally, for Nina. Sorry, I've seen that the recording, this morning recording, was available already on Teams. So maybe she can access it before the meeting.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.